Hi, welcome back to my channel. Um, I just want to let me start all over. I'm sick, so my brain is not braining right now. Um, I'm sorry if I sound a little rough. Getting over a very bad cold. I don't even know where the camera is. Like, where do I look? Okay. So just story time about the first time I got introduced to police. Police, like my criminal journey, my journey into addiction had just started. I was 12 years old, and it was the middle of the night. I got kicked in the ribs by a very huge, beautiful police officer. He was a very tall black man that was super buff, and yeah, yeah, he kicked me in the ribs and threatened to shoot me, but I understand why. But it was a little bit extreme for, like, you're like a 6 foot something man and this 12-year-old skinny, um, little petite little. Because when I was younger, I was really small, and they even called me teeny. But this little petite little Hispanic girl running, like, anyways. So this is the story. It tripped me out because I was trying to, like, figure out some things because I don't remember every single detail of this story because, mind you, it was in 2006. I'm 30. It was 12 when I was 12 when this happened, and so I was trying to figure out exactly how old I was, and I text my mother. Let me read the messages exactly that I text my mother. I think it was yesterday. I asked her. She was so mad at me because I was, like, making light out of it. But I mean, what can you do? It's already happened. It's already passed. I'm already in recovery. I don't use drugs no more, so I'm not in that lifestyle anymore. So you can only, like, laugh, learn about it. Like, what can you do? I can only laugh at myself. Like, what was wrong? It was a little traumatic hearing how old I was, though. It kind of hurt my heart a little bit, but I can only make light out of it in a message. Um, I told my mom, I sent the message on November 15th to my mom. I was like, how old was I when you and my dad went to pick me up from jail? And then I said when I was little, just so she knows, like, hey, this is when I was younger. It wasn't like, I know I've been in jail a lot since then. Not a lot, but a few times since then. But that was the only time her and my dad had ever picked me up. My dad wasn't in my life when I was younger, so it was really scary, like, seeing my dad there. I was like, what? Like, why is he here? But then she replied. She was like 12. I was like, oh my god, are you serious? I knew I was young. I didn't know I was that young. That's absolutely crazy. Shaking my head. I was literally beat up by the cop. And she said, yes, that's why I was mad when your dad acted like it was nothing. And I had a smile, a laughing emoji, and I said, crazy. And her emoji was rolling her eyes. I said, I was bad, bad. And she said, not funny. She was a little bit mad at me that I was making light out of it, but I mean, what can you do? You can't do nothing. Anyways, so on that night, what was I doing out at in the middle of the night? Like, what was a 12-year-old little girl? Like, my oldest son is 11. That little boy would not be out by himself in the middle of the night ever. Like, no. Anyways, No shame to no. Just my son would not. I cannot imagine my 11-year-old doing the things that I was doing. You know, like I cannot imagine it. I was already using heroin at 11, but anyways, it's 11. It's late at night. It's dark. I was going back home, and some older guy that lived across the street from me in the apartments across the street, he's already, I think he's like a grown man already, now that I think about it, because he wasn't in school or anything, but he could have been a dropout, who knows. Anyways, he was like, hey, do you want to hang out? I don't want to drive my car. That should have been a red flag right there, because I was like, I don't know how to drive. Like, I know how to drive a little bit. You know, my grandpa would let me, like, pull over and let me drive his car sometimes. You know, like, he'd be like, oh, we're gonna go to this parking lot, or we're gonna drive around this neighborhood because we're in the hood, and they don't care. You can drive over here. So he would let me drive his car every now and then, my grandfather. But I was like, I don't really know how to drive. This was a big old suburban and shit. He's like, oh, okay, well, we'll go to the park and hang out. And when we go to the park, um, he has drugs on him. He has drugs. He has heroin. Everybody did cheese over there in that neighborhood. Everybody. The schools were called the cheese factory. The schools were in the newspaper for children dying, overdosing, you know? And, but everybody did it. And so he was giving me lines and I was doing lines, and then finally I was like, once I had drugs in me, I was like bolder. You know, when you use at first, when you're first in your addiction, like introduced to drugs, you feel like superwoman. Like you feel like you can do anything, and you're social, and the social anxiety goes away. All those feelings go away when you first use. That shit goes it ain't like that once you get into deeper into your addiction. But this is the beginning. This is the big my journey. Like when I first was in my addiction. Anyways, I was bold. I was like, oh, okay, I'll drive you around. Where you want to go? He wants to go do some drug deals, like dropping off drugs to whoever he was gonna meet up. I didn't know that. I just thought he wanted me to drive him around. I didn't know where. I'm a 12-year-old. I wasn't thinking about any of that. Anyways, so we drive. We start driving, and it's the middle of the night. I'm pretty sure it's like a Saturday, Friday night because everybody was out. The streets were busy. The streets were really busy, and then the police, the lights turn on, and you can hear them saying, "Pull over." And I'm like, okay, I'm gonna pull over. And he's like, no, 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 no. Do not pull over. Whatever you do not pull over. Drive, drive, drive. I was like, what? And he's like, drive. And so I'm like, okay, okay. He's like, just drive and hit every corner. Hit every corner you can. And I was like, why? And then I didn't realize why he was saying for me to hit every corner until we started hitting every corner. Can you close the door? No, I'm doing a video. Um, I didn't realize why he was telling me to hit every corner until we started hitting every corner. And when we hit every corner, he was throwing stuff out the window. I know now, now that I'm older, now that it's happened. He was throwing out drugs every single time I hit the corner, so the police wouldn't see him throwing out the drugs. So finally, I'm freaking I'm passing red lights. I don't know how we didn't get hit by other cars because we crossed major intersections. Like we crossed major roads, and I was passing all red lights. I'm so high, it didn't matter to me what I was doing. I didn't care. I wasn't scared. I wasn't even scared. I had no fear. And so passing every single red light, And finally, I'm going back to my apartments because I'm thinking, like, hey, I know this spot at where Home Depot is, and between the two apartments, there's holes in the gate where we used to cross through to get to another, from one apartment to another apartments, and right there's the Home Depot and stuff because there's like holes in the fences. Well, so I was like, I just gotta get us there. I just gotta get us to that apartment, and then we'll go through the gates and run home. You know, good idea. Good idea. Sure. So we go through the apartments and everything. Mind you, I don't know how to drive correct properly. I don't know how to like. I've never had to like put the car in park and stop and do all this stuff. Plus, I'm high and yeah, I had so much adrenaline. So whenever we get into those apartments and I'm going really fast, trying to get to where the gate is, which is all the way on the other side of the apartments that you have to run through. Whenever we finally get to that area, I'm like, okay, you're ready to jump off. Get ready to jump off. So we both jump off the vehicle, but I didn't put the vehicle in park. I did not put the vehicle in park. So I crashed into another vehicle, and so let's say this is the car I was driving. These are the cars in front of me, the rows in front of me of cars. And then in front of that are the buildings, the apartments, the building, the doors to get in people's to their door. Well, we both jump off the vehicle, and I run in front of the vehicles instead of in the back because the cops are coming from that way. So whenever I jump off and I didn't put the vehicle in park, I almost squished the vehicle, banged into another vehicle, and then that vehicle went forward and it almost squished me running in front of the freaking vehicle to get to the other side. Like, anyways, I'm not saying I was a smart criminal. You know, I was not, I was a very troubled individual, like child. I was a very troubled teenager. Not even a teenager, I was 12. I wasn't even a teen yet. I was a preteen. Anyways, he is already ahead of me because he was on the passenger side, which is already next to the fence. It's close to the fence. So he already had his head start. I'm already trying to dodge freaking vehicle trying to kill me, like crash into me and squish me between the apartment and the vehicle. But and two very big officers, all you hear whenever they hit the floor, when they hit the floor once they got out of their vehicles, all you hear is doo, doo. Like you can hear all of their gear on them. You can hear their feet stomping. I can just hear all of this, you know, and they're screaming at me saying freeze. And so we have to get through these little gates. The gates have little holes. When I looked at the pictures now, the holes are huge. People, you could tell people broke those fences open, you know, but they weren't huge back then. They were very small. So he gets through one gate, I get through one gate clean. The other gate to the other apartment it was being worked on. So it was kind of boarded up, you know. So he was like breaking the board off, trying to squeeze in between the board and the gate to get through. So I'm waiting for him to try and squeeze through. And next thing you know, the police, I can hear them already getting closer and closer. He finally makes it through. I don't have enough time to get through that gate because I don't have to squeeze in and everything. So I just take off running. Both of the cops can't fit through the gate. So what do? They go running after the girl the only person left, the only small girl left that's running. Home Depot has a freaking huge parking lot. So I'm like, no way. But I'm running thinking like, I got this. I did not have it. I did not. I just hear both of the cops running super hard at me. One of the cops says, freeze, bitch. Freeze, you know, like calling me the B word. And then he's like, I'm gonna shoot you. If you don't stop running, I'm gonna shoot you. And I'm like, where else am I gonna go? There ain't nowhere else I can go. It's a long road. I'm tired. My adrenaline was already like lowering. I'm like, he gonna shoot me. I need to stop. So I put my hands up. And so I get on the ground, get on. He's still running. Both of them are running after me, but one of them's closer. And I put my hands behind my back, and he's running full force, and he has his gun in his hand. He's running full force. He pistol whips me. Mind you, he was freaking running full force. I have the thing under it. He pistol whips me in the back of my head whenever he's running. I had already had my hands up, my hands behind my back. He pistol whips me. I fall to the ground, and then he kicks me in my ribs. You did not have to do all that. I was so mad because I was like, bro, I already stopped. I had my hands up. I had my hands behind, like I put my hands up first to show that I didn't have anything. And then I put my hands behind my back. Like, why did you have to pistol whip me at full force, like full speed? Pistol whip me. I get on the ground, I fall on the ground, and then he kicks me in my ribs with big old combat boots on. This is a big man. He was beautiful, but I was mad at him. But still, this was a big, big man. So when I'm on the ground and whenever they get me back up, and the other guy had already come up here, he seen what his partner did to me. Whenever I get up, I was like, oh, oh. I was like, my baby, my baby. I was not pregnant. I was not pregnant. I was being a smartass, is what I was doing. I was like, my baby, my baby. I don't care what y'all did to me. I don't care what y'all did to me. I'm just so worried about my baby. Y'all probably killed my baby. And his partner, his partner was like, I have nothing to do with this. He's telling his partner, he's like, you're gonna be in so much trouble. I can't believe you did that to her. Like his partner was freaking out, and that's how I knew that that officer was completely in the wrong. I was kind of in the wrong too because I was running, but I knew he messed up because his partner was like, that was all you. I don't got nothing to do with this. You're going down for this. And I was like, I don't care. I don't care. I don't want to get anybody in trouble. Just take me to hospital, my baby. And when we get in the car, when we get into the car, they're being all nice to me. They handcuff me in the front and everything, and they put me in the car. When they put me in the car, I can hear them saying, we have to call the ambulance. No, no, it would be better if we just go to the hospital. We'll have to go to the hospital. And I can hear them saying that. And the only thing I'm thinking is, all right, the joke is up. You need to tell them you're not really pregnant. Because you're going to be in so much trouble for lying to the police. Like, just tell them you're not pregnant. So I was like, you guys, I'm just fucking with y'all. I'm not really pregnant. You should have seen their face. Like, their faces, they were so mad. The guy that kicked me and pistol whipped me, he got off the car. He opened my door. He pulled me out, and then he took off the handcuffs, put them in the back of my back, because when you're pregnant, they're supposed to be in the front. When you're not pregnant, in the back. But he put them in the back. He put them so tight I had cuts on my hands because of how tight he was pissed. He didn't put my seatbelt back on me. He just threw me in the car. He was so mad at me. He was so angry. They're like, okay, we're taking you. I don't want to say the name of the jail, but it's the jail over here that's for adults. I was like, why are y'all taking me to that jail? I've never been in no jail like that. I was like, call my mom. They're like, call your mom. You're a grown ass woman. I was like, I'm not a grown ass woman. What do you mean? I'm a child. And I was like, I'm a kid. I'm not even a teenager yet. And they're like, well, no, you're lying to us again. They're thinking I'm lying to them again. I'm like, I'm not lying to you. I'll call my mother. And I'm like, she probably not even gonna answer them. Because my mom was doing her own thing. She don't want nothing to do with the police. She was doing her own thing. Think about in the middle of the night, police calling you, being like, "Hey, how old is your daughter?" You know, like. But I was like, "Y'all are gonna get in trouble if y'all put me into a grown adult jail, and I'm a child. Like, y'all can't do that. Y'all cannot do that." Mm. So they finally decide to call my mother, and they tell my mother, "How old is she? We have your daughter in custody. You need to come downtown with her birth certificate, all your identification and everything." So they take me, finally, they agreed to take me to the juvenile. Uh, I don't know what it is. It's some court downtown, uh, some juvenile place. But they finally took me there instead. And that's whenever I see, I'm waiting there for a few hours. I'm waiting there for a while. And I found out later because my mother decided to call my father, and all. My mom was freaking out. And it was so surreal seeing my dad walk in, because I hadn't seen my dad for like 4 years. You know, I haven't seen my dad. And before that, before those 4 years, that was like my first time ever meeting my dad. I thought a whole nother dad. I thought a whole nother man was my father for the first 8 years of my life. You know, so I wasn't like cool with my dad like that. So it was. I was like, "Why did you tell my dad to come with you?" Like, I was like, "What's going on?" But finally, like, I ended up getting charged with grand theft. No, it was car theft, and fleeing the police, and some other thing. I didn't end up. So they tried to give me the first offenders program, which is whenever it's your first time being an offender, your first time in the system, whatever, because I was 12 years old. I didn't have no record or anything. They didn't want that to be on my record. They offer you the first offenders program. So my mom opted to do that, and we were almost done with it. We were so close to being done with it, and we missed the last one. My mom forgot about it. Mind you, my mom was had her own stuff going on. So we missed that one, so I ended up doing probation for it instead. I ended up having to do probation even though I needed only one more class. But I can't even find those like records anymore, because I guess since I was a juvenile, they're sealed. But best believe my probation officer, whenever I caught a charge like 7, 8 years ago, she could see everything. She had access to see everything, which I was like, "Hey, that stuff's supposed to be sealed." And she just started laughing at me like, "Girl, come on now." I was like, "How do you have access to that? I want to see." But she knew some things I didn't even like. Didn't know, you know. But yeah, that was the introduction. Like, I had already had one other encounter with the police, but it was because I was a runaway, and they came and picked me up from a house, from an apartment where I ran away from, because of my mom finally called the cops after me not coming back home for like 2 weeks. You know, she knew I was a runaway, but she thought I was going to eventually come back. But I never went to jail or anything. It wasn't a charge or anything like that. They just took me to runaway center, and my mom picked me up from there. But this time, it was like I got a charge, and um, I went to jail. It was a juvenile center, but it was still a jail, you know, like, and I still wonder, like, Mom, like, why? I know they wouldn't have done anything about it, you know, that I got, like, kicked in the ribs and pistol whipped and everything, because, like, the police didn't know I was a little girl, which, I mean, you can kind of tell I was a little girl because I look like a little girl. But I'm surprised she didn't want to do anything about it. I know she didn't want to do anything about it because she was like had her criminal like little thing going on, so she wanted as little to do with the police as possible. But still, I mean, yeah, still. Anyways, that's the story. That's the story about me, my introduction, my journey into addiction, my introduction into the criminal lifestyle. And it only went downhill from there. Downhill, uphill. It's uphill again. You know, like I'm doing better. I'm living a whole different lifestyle now, a lifestyle that I never thought I would be living, but I'm very grateful. And if you're still watching this, thank you so much. And if y'all can, please like and subscribe. And I'm so sorry I sound and look awful. I'm very sick, and I'm hoping I'll be better soon. Thank you. Bye.